Okay, so what to talk about? Nick, when I'm talking with people, what do I talk about? So everyone wants to know about conversation starters and all the hacks and tricks of actually talking to people. Well, there's a lot of books about how to do that. There's a lot of techniques. There's like decks of cards you can get that have conversation starters on them. But when I was building my network, I didn't have any of those tools. I didn't have the books and the decks of cards that say, "Hey, ask this, ask this." So, it'd be helpful, sure. So you can get yourself a book on conversation starters or a card deck that has conversation starters, icebreakers on it, and that's fine, and you can use those. But what I use that you can always just fall back on all the time, so you don't have to memorize anything, is observations. And I've talked about this earlier. So when you are there, you are observing things about the venue, about the event, and you're observing things about the people that you are talking to. So it's really easy to pick out something about, hey, I thought they were going to have sandwiches, but they don't have the sandwiches. Or, hey, they have the sandwiches. I love these sandwiches. What kind is that? Cream cheese, or is that butter? And are you lactose intolerant? I don't understand lactose intolerance. I tolerate lactose just fine. There's all kinds of stuff you can say. Or, somebody might have that belt or something. You're like, hey, I like that belt. What's going on with the belt? I know there's a story with that belt, Todd. There could be something about what they're wearing, or something about their just anything, just observations. You're looking around, and in your mind's going to notice stuff, and you just have to remember what you noticed and then bring that up in conversation. Hey, look, what do you think's going on over there with that? Hey, did you check out the men's room? So that's the very strange men's room. They don't have the dividers in the urinals. You'd think a place like this, there's always something that you can bring up. Or, I didn't know we're supposed to wear hats. Everyone has hats on? Oh, this is a hat thing apparently. Didn't get the email. Someone should have told me about the hats. Something. There's all kinds of different things that you can observe about either the person. Cool eyeglass frames, man. I like those. You're like a GQ model or something. there's all kinds of things that you can say about what you're observing, and so that's just an unlimited source. Just look around and then make a comment about something that you see or noticed. Then short stories. If it is relevant, if you have a short story about something you experienced or saw that fits with the theme of whatever somebody was talking about or what they observed, feel free to share that short story. Keep it short and hit the highlights. Cut all the fat off, because you don't need to drone on and on with long stories with people that just met you. But if it's interesting, or if there's some story that you've told before and people have laughed and enjoyed, and you see how it could fit and be relevant in this situation, tell the short story. Questions. There's always questions. You might have some questions and say, I don't know if I should ask this. Ask it. Ask the questions. People, even if it's a little weird, and tone also. Don't anything, if you say it in a really creepy, weird way, it's going to sound bad. Any question like, where's the lemonade here? That sounds weird. We're like, hey, there's lemonade. It sounds weird too. But just ask you can ask questions about, hey, do you know who the next speaker is? Or have you met that person before? Who are your friends? That's a cool, it kind of like on the observations thing, but you can just ask questions either about something that you observed, or you can ask about whatever they said. And I've talked about this earlier. Whatever they've said, pick something out of that and ask a question about it. So these are all things that you can say, and you don't have to memorize a certain thing that when I walk up to people I say this. No, you just observe. Ask a question, state something about an observation. Hey, it's like 85 degrees in here. Wonder if that's some kind of technique to get us to sweating, I don't know. There's and then you could, from that I would say something like in the movies in the 80s, the guys used to turn the thermostats up when they had girls over, and the girls would say, "Oh, it's so hot in here," and they'd start taking their clothes off. But in real life, that doesn't work because I tried that, and girls just leave when you do that. See, short little story, bam, and then people are like, "Huh, interesting." So there's always some kind of way to segue that. Now, I like to also throw in an embarrassing story and be vulnerable. If I can, if there's something relevant that I can throw in, something that embarrassing happened to me, and be a little vulnerable. If you are vulnerable first, you should be vulnerable first if you can, and then people usually open up to you. You have to share something. You can't just be like, "Nope, everything's fine, Cadillacing with me all the time. Nothing ever, I'm a man of steel or a woman of steel, and I'm just super strong. Nothing phases me." Then, people notice, they'll feel, hey, you got your guard up, and they'll keep their guard up. But if I say, "Hey man, I was over there by the sandwiches, and I was thinking, don't choke while you're eating this sandwich," and I started joking, and it was kind of embarrassing because I was like, "Am I going to choke over here at this food table on this cucumber sandwich? This is kind of embarrassing." I don't want to give the international sign or whatever for choking, have someone give me the Heimlich maneuver, because then I'm going to have to leave because I'm going to be embarrassed. And so it's either, am I going to be embarrassed, or am I going to die right here on the floor next to these cucumbers at this thing? And then, people are like, "What'd you do?" And then, you gave myself the self-Heimlich over the back of the chair. And, hey, now I'm here. We can enjoy this event. I'm glad I didn't have to put you through that scene of me choking over there and be remembered that way. Stuff like that. And that did happen to me. So, there's little stories that you can share with people like that about something embarrassing that either happened to you at the event or before the event or years ago that you can tie into what's going on now. But it is important to, when you're sharing, if you can be vulnerable and share something embarrassing, it really opens people up, and they are more open to share things with you and talk to you and let their guards down, because they see you, hey, you're like a human being. You're not taking yourself too seriously and trying to be too hoity-toity, as they say. You're just a person communicating with other people, and it's all good.